Brand new year to look at, brand new look. Okay, well, let me be honest with you. There's a reason why the opening titles look a little bit different than they have in the last couple of years that we've looked at. Cyberlink Power Director apparently decided to do another update, and this update, because the last one was so glorious and so good, this one took away every single title sequence and video, nearly every video I've ever done on there. It's all gone now. So, luckily, I have the stuff saved on YouTube. I can download it from there onto this new video in particular. So that's not a huge problem for me, at least right now. But that was one of those things that just really irked me from the last couple of days. I talked about it yesterday in the video how I was a little stressed out over the Steel City Con, over these little things, and that was another thing that was just really messed with me. But you know what? Let's get positive here. We're starting off a brand new year. This is January 7th, 1994. And it's another edition of Time About the Movies. And like I said, we're starting a new year off. And we've got 4 movies to look at. I've already wasted your time here, but that's just a situation that's been this way. So let me move on. Okay. Moving on. Last week we had last week we did multiple movies in a single episode. This week we're doing 4 of them. 2 of them actually came out last week because I forgot to do them in the last episode. But we're going to start with those ones this week. So we'll start off with the first movie that I missed out on. That's Daniel Day-Lewis and Emma Thompson in the Name of the Father. So in the Name of the Father stars Daniel Day-Lewis, Emma Thompson, Pete Postlethwaite. It was co-written and directed by Jim Sheridan, who directed My Left Foot, which was the movie that Daniel Day-Lewis won his first Academy Award with. In a year where you had so many good award contenders in 1993, this movie kind of went under the radar, and honestly, it's really one of those underrated movies that a lot of people don't really talk about all that much, but it's probably one of the best performances Daniel Day-Lewis has ever given. This is a really good movie. A really well-made story, a really good, engaging story, a great mystery, and how these four people got accused of being the people who were convicted of this bombing that happened in 1974, and just the way the corruption takes place. That these people, that were accusing these people, knew that they weren't the people, but they went ahead and did what they did anyway. And it's just like, it just hurts you so much to watch these people who are innocent and have no connection to this whatsoever be tortured like this and being put through all this misery. And it's a really good story. It's a really good, enjoyable film. The performances overall are great. You really get invested in the storyline. You get so sucked into the story. It's tough to watch at times, but it's such a well-made movie. It's a really good, very well-made film. Kind of underrated, really. But I know Daniel Day-Lewis, everyone talks about him as as the greatest actor of all time. I don't think that's quite the case. I would argue that, I mean, Denzel Washington to me is the greatest actor we have working right now. But Daniel Day-Lewis is very well up there. He has made some great movies, and this is definitely one of those ones that not a lot of people really talk about, but I think it's definitely one of his more underrated performances. It's a movie that I think is really well done. Great film overall. Can't argue with that. In the Name of the Father. So that's that one. Now let's move on to the next movie, and that is Shadowlands. So basically, the story is that Anthony Hopkins plays C.S. Lewis, the author of the Chronicles of Narnia, and also he falls in love with this woman played by Deborah Winger, who's Joy Davidman. And the story centers around their relationship, her death with cancer, and how this challenges his Christianity overall. Directed by Richard Attenborough, written by William Nicholson, who actually made this into a TV movie. This is actually how it started, and it eventually became a stage play, and then they eventually remade it into a movie. I really don't know too much about this movie. I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on it too much, but I mean, it definitely looks like it could be pretty good. It could be a movie that could be very interesting. Just an overall great actors all around. Great director. I mean, who knows? I mean, honestly, I really don't doubt that this is not one of the best movies that came out in '93. I just never saw it, so that's pretty much all I got to say about this one. So now let's move on to the first weekend of 1994, and this is usually when the dumping ground comes into play. And first movie is definitely that. Kevin Bacon in the air up there. I mean, really, we've seen this done so much better. I mean, Disney themselves even put out a movie that was pretty much similar to this with Cool Runnings, except this one's about basketball. That one was about bobsled riding with Jamaicans, and it just wasn't really all that funny. It's a movie that just really feels like it's a story that's been done to death. It doesn't have anything that really pushes it to another level. It doesn't even have that nostalgic factor. Like, I've seen sports comedies that are not very good on most cases that I love anyway. Like, we'll get to one later on in the year with Little Giants, but yeah, this movie just really didn't do it for me, and I don't think it really did it for a lot of people. I think the biggest problem with it is that the basketball player in general that Kevin Bacon finds, there's nothing really all that exciting about him. There's no real charisma with him. He's not really all that funny. He's not even that great of an actor. He's just a guy that looks like a tall basketball player. I mean, that's really all the main joke of the movie. And even the poster, like, it's just him, this tall guy standing in front of a small Kevin Bacon. I mean, there's just nothing really all that engaging or exciting about this movie whatsoever, and it was largely forgotten, and you could probably see why. It's also directed by the same guy that did Kazam, so why would I think that this would do any better? Actually, was this directed by the guy who did... Yeah, this is the guy who directed Kazam. Like, it's hard to believe that this guy also did great movies like The Running Man and The Cutting Edge, and then his career ends with two really lackluster movies, and the last movie he did ended up being one of the worst movies ever made. But we will get to Kazam later on in '96. But so that's the air up there. Let's move on to the next movie. And the next movie is Cabin Boy, starring Chris Elliott. Why does this movie not get more love than it does? Because, Mother of God, this movie is hilariously good. Wow, I saw this movie years ago. I really wasn't expecting a whole lot from it, but I like Chris Elliott. I like that it's produced by Tim Burton, and Andy Richter's also in it as well. And really, it's one of the funniest movies I have ever seen. Like, I'm amazed that they got a PG rating out of this, because holy crap, there is stuff in here that. Then again, it's '90s PG. That's the good kind of PG, not the PG of today, where it's just like if you say anything risque, it's getting a PG rating regardless. But man, this movie was a ton of fun, man. I love how invented this is. I love how silly it gets. I love how over the top it gets. That usage of animation that they use in here. I wouldn't be surprised if Henry Selick, the Nightmare Before Christmas director, actually did the stuff for this movie, but. Man, this is a funny movie, a really underrated gem. It's just visually pleasing to look at, some really funny lines. David Letterman makes one of the rare sweet film appearances in his career. Like, he never really... I think this is the only movie where he actually plays a character. And, like I said, it's just hilarious. It's so inventive. It's so creatively ridiculous. It's just a ton of fun all around. I love this movie to death. I really want to get a physical copy of this because, man, I love this movie a lot. Like, I really think this movie was made well ahead of its time. It's one of those movies that really has grown in appreciation for me. Because when I remember seeing the trailers for this when I was little, and I thought to myself, I thought to myself that this didn't look all that good. But man, almost 30 years later. It's one of the most underrated comedies I've ever seen. If you haven't seen Cabin Boy, if you love some good, fun, silly, over-the-top comedy, this movie is definitely going to be perfect for you. Just go check it out. You're doing yourself a huge disservice by not doing so. And on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll jump into weekend number 2, which has movies including House Party 3, also Iron Will. I'm looking at this list here because it's another one of those weekends where the movies the new releases aren't highlighted because it's a holiday weekend. But looking here, Death Wish: The Face of Death, because heaven forbid we needed another Death Wish movie. Where the Rivers Flow North, and also the remake of Body Snatchers. So 5 movies to look at next time around, and we will do that on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.